Way back at it again. Screaming, cheering. Everyone is talking about how dominant the Indiana Fever look right now, but no one is asking the question that actually matters. What happens when it stops working? Because at some point, it will, and when that moment arrives, everything is going to fall on one person. Stephanie White. Welcome back to WNBA Pro, the home of the most intelligent, high-level basketball analysis anywhere. If you thought the Fever were just going to run it back this season and settle into the status quo, think again. What's unfolding behind closed doors in training camp is sending shockwaves across the entire WNBA, and the rest of the league should be paying very close attention. This isn't the same franchise anymore. The Indiana Fever have completely flipped their identity, raising their intensity, sharpening their execution, and carrying a level of confidence that hasn't been seen in years. While the media has been busy spinning off-season narratives, the real story is happening on the court. Just 2 days into training camp, the evidence is undeniable. This team is building something dangerous. The chemistry is real. The individual growth is obvious. And the competitive edge in every drill is impossible to ignore. This is no longer a team patiently rebuilding for the future. This is a team chasing dominance right now. The focus, the talent, and the fire they are playing with, it's a nightmare for any defense trying to prepare for them. And at the center of it all is a force that's shifting everything. Caitlin Clark. Everyone already knows about the deep threes and scoring explosions. But what's emerging in this training camp is something different. This is a more advanced, more controlled version of her game, built on elite processing speed and complete offensive command. She's not just reading defenses anymore. She's manipulating them, bending entire defensive systems to her will.
I like what I'm seeing, I do. I think she has a lot of potential. I wasn't totally loving what KK did in that set. She kind of got worked by the spin move from that practice player. And I did want to show you guys something that was going viral, and it is a one-handed pass from Caitlin over to Maisha Hines-Allen, who looks...
Just look at the mechanics of that one-handed, thread-the-needle pass to N.A. Lissa Smith. It's not a routine read-and-react play. That's a signature of a basketball savant processing the entire floor in milliseconds. The reaction says it all. She almost looked stunned after catching it. And honestly, who wouldn't be? Because when a point guard can manipulate weak side help defenders with her eyes, freeze a primary defender with a subtle hesitation, and then fire a high velocity, one-handed laser through a microscopic window before the defense even realizes what's happening, you're not dealing with a normal offense anymore. You're watching an unstoppable engine at work. That's what creates the impossible. Dilemma for opposing teams. Blitz Caitlin Clark in the pick and roll, and she'll instantly dissect your rotations, hitting the roller or the weak side shooter with surgical precision. Sit back in drop coverage to protect the paint, and you're handing the most dangerous deep-range shooter in the game all the space she needs to rise up and break your defense. What's even more frightening is a level of synchronization she's developing with her teammates. It's starting to mirror the peak of all-time great point guard play, those rare moments when one player is completely orchestrating every movement on the floor. It even echoes flashes of brilliance we've seen from Jonquil Jones, those elite, threading passes. But now it's happening in real time, in everyday action, like it's routine. That's the scary part for the rest of the league. Her teammates are already operating on her wavelength. They're anticipating, reacting, moving in sync before the defense can even adjust. And then there's the scoring. You can't talk about her evolution without acknowledging the pure firepower. The gravity she creates stretches defenses to their breaking point, opening the floor completely for everyone else. But the moment she decides to hunt her own shot, it becomes something else entirely. Fluid, effortless, almost inevitable. That it's not just offense. It's poetry in motion.
Some wing action. That's 1. There's 2. 3 in a row. 4 in a row. 5 in a row. Speaking of thirst traps,
cheering. Watching her go through warm-ups and her Kobe Play exclusives, using a weighted ball to fine-tune every detail of her release, you can see the obsession with precision. Every rep is deliberate. Every motion is calculated. And then she casually steps beyond the arc and knocks down 5 straight deep threes. Quick release, flawless form, no wasted movement. It looks effortless, but it's anything but. You have to understand what that does to a defense. When a player like Caitlin Clark can pull up from 30 feet without breaking stride, the entire defensive structure has to shift. Suddenly, defenders are forced to pick her up near the logo. That kind of range stretches a point of attack to its absolute limit, and when that happens, everything behind it starts to crack. Driving lanes open up. The defensive shell gets pulled apart. Closeout angles become almost impossible to execute, forcing defenders into desperate recoveries that lead to easy blow-bys and full defensive breakdowns. This isn't just scoring, it's structural damage. She's warping the geometry of the court itself, and she's doing it with a confidence that spreads through the entire Indiana Fever roster. But while all eyes are locked onto the superstar point guard, there's another story quietly unfolding in this training camp, one that could become the ultimate X factor for this team. That story is Justine Pissott in today's WNBA. Roster construction is ruthless. With only 12 spots available and a tight salary cap, every decision becomes a calculated risk. Developing young talent while staying competitive is one of the hardest balancing acts for any front office. That's why the Fever's decision to secure their second-round pick in a developmental role was so strategic. Historically, second-round selections face an uphill climb just to make an opening day roster. Nothing is guaranteed, but the coaching staff clearly saw something different here. At 6 feet 4 inches with a long, disruptive wingspan, she brings a physical profile that immediately stands out. And
so I think having her in that developmental slot was tactical. Looks like she's ready for the switch right there. Gets her arms up for the nice contest.
When you break down this defensive possession, the first thing that jumps out is a combination of lateral quickness and elite defensive IQ that makes her such a compelling prospect. She reads the screening action instantly, executes a switch onto the perimeter without hesitation, and then uses that long wingspan to rise up and deliver a perfectly timed contest. That's the kind of defensive versatility every contender is searching for. The ability to put a 6 feet 4 inches wing like Justine Pissott onto a smaller, quicker guard without sacrificing your defensive structure is incredibly rare, and she's not just holding her ground, she's disrupting everything. Her closeouts are disciplined, her balance is impressive for her size, and she's playing with a level of toughness and edge that shows she's not intimidated by anyone on the floor. But her defensive value doesn't stop on the perimeter. For a player with her profile to truly stick in the WNBA, she has to handle the next test, post mismatches. Teams will deliberately try to exploit taller, slender wings by dragging them into the low block, forcing them to prove their strength and fundamentals. So the real question becomes, can she hold her own when the offense tries to bully her inside? That's where her development becomes critical.
Decent footwork, lateral movement. Had her arms up, didn't make that pass easy. Oh, okay.
Oh, now watch this rep closely. The footwork, the lateral movement. This is where it really starts to pop. She's matched up against a highly skilled practice player, and instead of biting on the initial fake or giving up ground, she stays completely disciplined. She absorbs the contact, maintains her verticality, and uses that length to shrink the passing window to almost nothing. Even when she's hit with a complex dream shake variation, she doesn't fold. She battles through it. And that's the key. This isn't about perfection on every possession. It's about the undeniable flashes of high-level potential. The Indiana Fever development staff may have found something special by keeping Justine Pissott in the building. If she continues to sharpen her defensive instincts and becomes a reliable perimeter shooter, you're looking at the blueprint of a true 3-and-D wing. Someone who can completely elevate the second unit. And that sends a message. This isn't just about building a strong starting five. The Fever are constructing depth, real depth, a roster designed to survive the physical grind and constant adjustments of a WNBA season. Now shift the focus, because there's another storyline emerging that might be even more fascinating and definitely more scrutinized. The arrival and immediate cultural impact of Raven Johnson. The media tried to manufacture drama, pushing the narrative of a lingering college rivalry with Caitlin Clark. But she shut that down instantly, with professionalism, composure, and complete control of the moment. From her first media appearance, she brought nothing but positivity, energy, and respect for the locker room. She openly credited veterans like Kelsey Mitchell and Lexie Hull for guiding her, answering every question, and helping her adjust to the system. But don't let the smile fool you, because the moment she steps onto the court, everything changes. That energy turns into intensity. That personality turns into pressure. And suddenly, she becomes a nightmare for opposing ball handlers.
What do you think, obviously, as Defensive Player of the Year, you can bring to that?
Yeah, my defense tenacity. I'm like a gnat on the ball. Every time when I get the defense, I want to be the person to turn people over and get my teammates extra possessions to shoot the ball or whatever that may be. But yeah, when it comes to defense, I think that's what I thrive in, which is...
Listen to how she defines her defensive identity. She called herself a gnat on the ball, and honestly, that might be the most terrifying description an opposing point guard could hear, because it speaks to constant pressure, relentless disruption, and zero breathing room. Raven Johnson takes real pride in that role. She wants to be the one picking pockets, blowing up actions, forcing live ball turnovers, and turning defense into instant offense. That's not just effort, that's identity. And within the bigger picture of the Indiana Fever's roster construction, that identity is essential. Having a true point of attack defender like her in the backcourt changes everything. It allows Caitlin Clark to conserve energy, avoid unnecessary foul trouble, and stay fully locked in on what she does best. Controlling and orchestrating the offense at an elite level, Raven embraces a dainty work. She thrives in chaos. She brings an edge that this team has been missing, and her buy-in is already redefining the tone of that second unit. Now, before we dive into the final offensive schemes and what all of this means to the start of the season, let's take a moment to acknowledge the growing WNBA pro community. A huge shout out to Peggy Brille, Greg Fright, and Donald Jackson for joining the Inner Circle this week. This community is built on high-level basketball thinking, deep analysis, and real passion for the game, and adding new voices like yours makes it even stronger. If you're watching and want exclusive breakdowns, advanced tactical insight, and a level of basketball conversation you won't find anywhere else, you already know what to do. Now, back to the court. Because when you look at a team with this much young talent, there's one factor that determines whether it all comes together or falls apart: veteran leadership. And that's where Kelsey Mitchell becomes absolutely critical. Her return to the Indiana Fever isn't just a roster move, it's a statement of belief in the direction of this team. She's spoken openly about wanting to be a Fever girl again, about the bond she's built with players like Aliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark, and Lexie Hull. And that matters more than people realize, because when that kind of trust exists, everything on the court changes. The ball moves quicker. The extra pass becomes instinct. Defensive rotations tighten up. The game starts to flow. Then you layer in the spacing and reliability of someone like Lexie Hull, who has made it clear this franchise feels like home. And suddenly you're looking at a system that has both emotional chemistry and tactical precision. And when those two things align, that's when an offense becomes truly dangerous.
With some offensive sets that are always fun to watch. Positive vibes, positive vibes. All right, Lexie 3-ball, that's what we want to see more of this season. Sophie at the wing. It's her spot. Oh, and the coveted Caitlin Clark 3-ball. If there is anything you guys want to see, please pop down in the comments. Don't hesitate to ask. That's why I put some Justine Pissott highlights in this video.
When you watch these offensive sets in practice, it becomes crystal clear just how dangerous this team is going to be in the half court. The ball movement is sharp. The off-ball screening has purpose. And the spacing is nearly flawless. You see Lexie Hull drifting into her corner pocket and confidently knocking down the three. You see Sophie Cunningham working efficiently on the wing. And then, almost inevitably, the possession ends with a signature three from Caitlin Clark. That's offensive synergy at its highest level. The defense is constantly scrambling, rotating, closing out, and trying to anticipate the next read before it even happens. Every possession applies pressure. Every movement forces a reaction. It's relentless. Right now, everything looks perfect. The energy, the chemistry, the execution. But training camp isn't the real test. The real test is what happens when things break down, because they will. And when that moment comes, all eyes shift to Stephanie White. She brings a proven resume, having built elite defensive systems and consistently emphasizing pace and intensity. But let's be honest, coaching a gritty, defense-first roster is completely different from managing a generational offensive force like Caitlin Clark. That's where the real question lies, that it's not about whether she can design schemes. It's about whether she has the flexibility, and the humility to step back when the system stops working. Because when the pressure peaks, when defenses throw out unpredictable looks and disrupt the primary actions, there are only two paths the coach can take: control everything or trust greatness. History has shown what happens when coaches try to restrict transcendent talent. So when that moment comes, when the game tightens, when the plan breaks, does she micromanage from the sideline? Or does she put the ball in the hands of the most dynamic offensive problem solver in the league and let her take over? Because Caitlin Clark isn't just the face of the franchise. She's the engine, the closer, the player who will ultimately define how far this team can go. And that makes Stephanie White's biggest challenge this season incredibly simple and incredibly difficult at the same time. Knowing exactly when to step in and when to get out of the way. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay locked in with WNBA Pro for more high-level analysis. I'll catch you in the next one.